Hey guys, today I'm going to show you everything you need to know about easing keyframes. So let's get into it. The example I'm using here is a moving red ball from point A at 0 frames to point B at 60 frames. So first what you want to do, if it's not already open, is open this spline graph by clicking this button right here. Then this will appear right here. Then check your keyframes, which you should have already created before this video. Now, if you can't see your keyframes, like I can here, then press the full screen button and then shorten it to be about this short. So if you draw a square around the points, it would be almost a precise square. Anyway, now I'm going to show you how to ease. So what you want to do is highlight both of these and press S on your keyboard. This will smooth them out. Now if you play it back, you can see it's already smoother, but it might not be as smooth as you want it to be. So press T on your keyboard and then you'll get these ease in and ease out parameters right up here. So the ease in controls the top one and the ease out controls the bottom one. So for example, I'm just going to turn both up to 100 and that's the most eased it can be. As you can see, it just plain starts super slow, then it almost instantly jumps a gap and then slows down. That's what this graph means. Slow, fast, slow. The steeper the graph, the faster the movement. So I don't want both of these to be the same. In this case, what I want to do is turn this up to about 80 and then turn this down to about 30. And then, now, it looks good. I really like how this looks. I usually use this kind of graph for in animations, but if I want it to be the smoothest graph possible, then I do this. I put this line halfway here and this line halfway here to this corner and make sure that it's facing up and not down. And I'll tell you what you use down for in a second. And then you get a really smooth animation because it starts fast and then it slows down. Now right now it doesn't exactly look smooth. But if you click on your transform node and go to the settings, turn on motion blur and set the quality to 4 and shutter angle to 360, then it looks really smooth. Look at how great that looks. You can also achieve similar results by bringing one of these all the way to the top and bringing this back. Personally, I prefer this graph for in animations rather than the other one, and this is what it looks like. Pretty similar. Now, if you want to make something look like it has movement, and it does, but you want it to be very short, then you can create this graph where you bring both of these points almost here. So it looks like the ball kind of ends up here, but you can tell that it moved all the way, especially because of the motion blur. So this is what it looks like. Like, it's really short, but you can tell that it actually moved. So that's what I mean by that. Now, I'm going to show you what I do for an out animation. For an out animation, rather than bringing these to this point up, we're going to bring them down. So I just bring this one all the way here and bring this one all the way back. So it achieves this graph, except instead of going up, it goes down. So it kind of slowly speeds up, and usually that doesn't look very good. But in out animations, usually I animate off of the screen, so you can't really see the intense stop, and that's why it looks good for out animations. If you want to do the same thing, where you can tell that it moved, but barely, then you can do the same kind of graph, where by bringing these both almost to that point, and then it kind of moves slowly, but you don't really notice the slow movement, and you can tell it moved to the end, even though it kind of just looks like it snaps there. So that's the kind of graph you really want. For some things, you might want to create versions of these graphs. Like, look at this. This is kind of a reverse of what you would do before. Like, normally you would smooth it out like a normal person, like by doing this, but instead of making an S, you kind of do the reverse by, instead of putting it sideways, putting it up and then putting the other one down rather than one right and one left. And you can make this graph, meaning it's kind of eased in the middle rather than on the edges. This can be good for a look of like some unstable object, but it slows down. This can also be good for velocity edits. If you know those, they're similar to TikTok edits and sometimes are even used in TikTok edits where a video is slowed down and then speeds up, just like I did with this red ball. Now, another variation you can create of this graph right here, where it's kind of the in animation graph, is to do this, except you put this down and this further. So it kind of makes a similar shape, like the arch is still there, but there's a little bit of easing in just in case you want to do the entire thing on screen. So I recommend when you have the entire animation on screen to at least add a little bit of easing on the beginning or end, depending on what kind of graph you want to make. Not completely gone. So like that, rather than what it looked like before, which is this, which looks smoother. So if I animate it off of the screen, which I'll just do here. And now let me show you what I mean by animating this off the screen. So I'll make the in graph like I did before, like this, except I'm gonna bring this off screen. And so I'm gonna quickly adjust this. I'm gonna make it go off screen, and now you can see how it looks so smooth when animating objects in. Now, let's do an example where we animate this out. 20 frames later, let's say 20 frames later. So let's make a keyframe, then go 60 frames later. And guys, basic math. Yeah, you're right, it's 120. Anyway, then we move the circle off. And then we highlight these keyframes, smooth them, and then make the out graph, meaning the one that goes down, like this. And so now you can see how that looks smooth animating out, because you can't see the hard stop. So there's no point in easing this one. And since you're not easing this one, it kind of adds to the easing of this one, which makes it super smooth. So the in and the out animation would look like this. Really, really smooth. Now, there's one last thing I want to show you. So let's just delete these keyframes. So if you want to overshoot and then come back to the position that you want to end up with, you want to have the graph go above this line where your final keyframe is. So you do that by just dragging this handle all the way up until you're satisfied. The more up, the more overshoot. You see what I mean? Anyway, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.